Nobody has any idea where these people are coming from, and we know they come from prisons. We know they come from mental institutions, insane asylums. We know they're terrorists. Nobody has ever seen anything like we're witnessing right now. It is a very sad thing for our country. It's poisoning the blood of our country. It's so bad, and people are coming in with disease.
Reverend Al.
God.
Poisoning the blood of our country. Your friend Jonathan Greenblatt, the ADL, rightly called that out. Where have we heard that before? Again, it's just straight fascism.
It is straight fascism. It's straight racism. It's this whole idea of having a pure race.
It's just straight fascism. How, Joe Scarborough, what's with that voice? It's amazing, all this stuff coming from these guys, especially Al Sharpton, an out-and-out racist who actually boycotted Asian grocery stores earlier in his career because they were Asian. Yeah, he had a problem with Asian people. Anyway, this is nonsense. We know Trump. They're panicking. They're trying to create, well, it's not working. This has nothing to do with race, by the way, what Donald Trump said. Who remembers this moment during the Republican National Convention in 2020? One of the most beautiful political images I've ever seen. Donald Trump helping to swear in new citizens to the United States who came from all over the world. And you know what's beautiful about that? They came here legally. And when you come here as an adult, you take that citizenship oath, you got to pledge that you're going to pick up arms to defend America if called upon. These people are great. It's not about race. It's about things like this. People coming into the country, and we have no idea who they are, where, what they're bringing with them. This is a crisis, and it's obvious. And, you know, anytime somebody brings up blood, right, not talking about it literally, all right? Democrats do it, okay? It's okay. The nation has a lifeblood. It's being undermined by this, but it's okay to talk about blood. It doesn't mean you're eugenics or whatever.
Maybe it's in our blood, but John and I believe that it's all about fighting for working and middle class people.
I'm from Brooklyn. It's in our blood to sniff out bull.
Oh, my goodness, what a racist comment. And of course not. People talk like that. It's okay. And what's happening at the border, the total anarchy down there, it's fine. This is what we're dealing with. I mean, you can talk in these terms. But you can't talk in these terms. Listen to the fake news. Praise Joe Biden. Praise his performance.
And they're like, well, of course, if, you know, Trump's the nominee, I'll vote for him. I'm not going to vote for the Democrat. I'm not going to vote for Biden. Like, of course, we could have that argument on why in the world wouldn't you vote for Biden, the best foreign policy president since George H.W. Bush, and the guy that's had more successes bipartisan wise. My God, you'd have to go back to maybe LBJ for a Democrat to be that successful. Bill Clinton, LBJ. I mean, so
it's that they're hallucinating, right? Or they just think the people are really, really stupid, or they're so smart they're stupid, because this show is geared toward the Beltway set and the Manhattanites. Can we see an example of Joe Biden's great foreign policy success? This is what he'll be known for, right? Losing Afghanistan. He kept on saying LBJ, greatest president since LBJ. You want to see LBJ broken down in office? A war spiraled out of his control. He left the White House a broken and defeated man. That does sound actually something like Joe Biden. All right, there's also this. And it's important just to remind ourselves just how much the media are lying, because you and I can see through it. Regular people can't. They actually trust these folks.
This week, Trump told us exactly what he has planned if he were to be reelected. The former president telling Univision he would use the Justice Department to go after his enemies.
Trump continues to be very outspoken about his plans, if he is reelected, to complete what he started on January 6th. To end American constitutional governance as we know it.
Once again, we started this week with a report that the former president is preparing to use the Justice Department to prosecute his political foes.
That's what Joe Biden is doing right now. And they're so terrified that Donald Trump might do what Joe Biden is doing right now. They're not terrified about what's happening right now. President Trump, by the way, has been lamenting that this is happening and laments that it could happen under another administration, because you know, the standard has been set. This sequence you just saw, you might have missed it. Very interesting. The very first person there, the anchor woman, that is Alicia Menendez. Now, her father is the Senator Menendez from New Jersey. Yeah, the one who's being prosecuted for alleged corruption. He's a Democrat. He was the head of the Foreign Relations Committee. And Democrats hate him. Obama hates him. Biden hates him. He didn't want to go into that horrible Iran nuclear deal. And they've never forgiven him. So I could totally see in this environment the Justice Department being unleashed on him. We got to be able to find something on him, right? We're the boss, not him. I think more and more that's the way it works, right? Prove me wrong. Donald Trump locked up, mugshot, 4 different jurisdictions going after him for nothing. This is the world we live in. And yes, he laments it. He doesn't think it's right. They took this and they cut it and they spliced it and they made everybody try to think something else.
You can't do that. You can't go after people. You know, when you're president and you've done a good job and you're popular, you don't go after them so you can win an election. They've done indictments in order to win an election. They call it weaponization. And the people aren't going to stand for it. But yeah, they have done something that allows the next party. I mean, if I happen to be president and I see somebody who's doing well and beating me very badly, I say, go down and indict them. Mostly that would be, you know, they would be out of business.
You see, it's a theoretical, it's a hypothetical. He said the people won't stand for it. It's wrong, but that's what they're doing. So he conceivably could do the same thing, but it's wrong. And that's clear. We've been watching him. We know where he's coming from, and we know where they're coming from. The enemy of the people. That was so apt. It wasn't outrageous. It was totally perfect. And it was great. And I have to do this one more time. Vivek Ramaswamy, to call them out right to their face was a beautiful thing. And to see the admission of guilt live on television. Do you remember?
Kristen, I'm going to use this time because this is actually about you in the media and the corrupt media establishment. Ask you, the Trump-Russia collusion hoax that you pushed on this network for years, was that real or was that Hillary Clinton made up disinformation? Answer the question. Go.
Mr. Roberts.
This is how we get our country back.
That big smile. Let me translate this big smile, all right? What she's saying with her smile and those teeth, it was made up Hillary Clinton disinformation, okay? They got caught. There's never been an admission. There's never been an apology or a correction. Just it keeps on going. And the lies do keep on going. You know, we have seen horrific anti-Semitism on our streets, right? In those big Sunday shows yesterday, no mention of anti-Semitism. Anti-Jewish violence that is happening on the streets of this country all over the place. This looks like an insurrection. People went crazy. Pro-Hamas, pro-terrorist demonstrators, sometimes rioters, taking to the street, beating up on Jewish people. It has happened, yet, well, we're just supposed to not acknowledge it because why not? Why not? I think why this is happening is, yes, not only are those people anti-Semitic, the media, deeply. It's in their core. And talk about the lack of proportionality. January 6th. Does anybody remember this, right? This footage. This is shortly before Ashley Babbitt was shot and killed, right? And this is supposed to be the worst thing that ever happened. Well, just the other night, Friday night, Grand Central Terminal, the biggest train station in the world, in the heart of New York City, this was happening. And you know, the doors and the windows, it kind of reminded me of, January 6th. Something like 20,000 people weren't able to get home in time. It was a big hassle here in New York. But you see, right? You didn't hear about one. The one happened on Friday. But January 6th, 2021, federal investigations, this committee, that committee, it's not over yet, right? The report. It's something, isn't it? It really is. So, later this week, President Xi will be visiting the United States, but not in Washington, D.C. He's going to San Francisco to meet Joe Biden. Meet Joe Biden in San Francisco. Joe's got to go to the other side of the country because, well, it's a bit more convenient for President Xi to go to San Francisco, a little bit closer to China. And I don't know, but the optics of it are not good for us. You go to see the President of the United States when you're President Xi at the White House. You don't meet him in some city like this. Maybe it's a city that President Xi thinks will be his someday once China invades, which sadly is not beyond imagination. It could happen. And I don't trust Joe Biden to represent America well. Do you? He is weak. He's always ingratiating himself. Look at the big smile on his face. Every time, a huge smile when he's meeting with our adversaries, right? Just one, it's like he's voting or getting people to vote for him in Dover, Delaware, right? Hi, it's bigger than this. It's bigger than him. He can't handle it, and neither can his national security advisor.
Can you give us the latest on the negotiations, or if there are negotiations still underway regarding the hostages?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me, John. And I have to be careful about what I say publicly on this because it is, of course, a delicate and sensitive negotiation.
All right, so you know what he should do? He should stay home. He goes on these TV shows with nothing to say. You know why he goes on these shows? It's a commercial for future business opportunities. This is about him, not America. Going on these shows with nothing to say. He's the National Security Advisor. His name is Jake Sullivan, the National Security Advisor, NSA. What does it stand for? Yeah, National Security Advisor. You know what he is, actually? Let's call him this. He's an NDA, National Destruction Advisor, because we are being destroyed. Not John Carl, but the guy to his left. Yeah, him. The National Destruction Advisor. I mean, look at it. In every possible way, internationally, domestically, we are failing. We're going down. And he's a co-conspirator. So who do we trust? Trump or Joe when it comes to China? This says so much, and I'm kind of proud of it. We went through the record and we found, well, how does each man handle China? And it looks like this.
I have many people from China that I do business with. They laugh at us. They feel we're fools. You know, they're getting away with absolute murder.
China's a great nation, and we should hope for the continued expansion.
I don't want to lose $300 billion a year to China when we can't afford to build schools for our children, when we can't afford to build highways, when we can't afford to build railways, when we can't afford to build bridges. I want money to be invested in jobs and in this country. I don't want to rebuild China.
A rising China is a positive development, not only for China, but for America and the world writ large.
It was China's fault, and China is going to pay a big price what they've done to this country. China's going to pay a big price what they've done to the world. This was China's fault. And just remember that.
554,064 American dead from COVID-19. A lot of families want to know how this happened, how it got here. Have you had a chance to speak to any of your international partners, any of President Xi, who I know you go way back with? Have you had a chance to ask him if these reports are true that China maybe misled the world at the beginning?
No, I have not had that conversation with President Xi. Thank you.
So what's the conversation going to be like on Wednesday in San Francisco when Joe Biden meets with President Xi, huh? You think he's going to strongly advocate our interests, right? Or is he going to be polite and accommodating and very hopeful that President Xi doesn't someday have a press conference and say what he really knows about Joe Biden? We are in a far less safe space because of that man in the White House. I'll be right back.